I feel that love is dead. I'm loving angel.
In der Welt, the Machine, James Wade. Sein Gegenüber ebenfalls ein Mann aus England, 48 Jahre alt, heuer beim Masters im Achtelfinale, genauso wie in den 4 Jahren davor. Hier ist die Nummer 12 der Welt, Ian Diamond White!
And I decided quickly, yes I did, to just go down and check out the show.
James Wade not hanging around. Ian White's walk-on music had barely died down when he stepped up to throw his first set of practice darts. Ian White still not quite with us yet, but we are just about all set for our second semi-final here at the Austrian Darts Open. The bar was raised fairly high by that first semi-final as Michael van Gerwen once again posted another ton-plus average this weekend, his third of the weekend, to see off Daryl Gurney, breaking Gurney's resistance after the Ulsterman had produced 3 successive wins over MVG, but he couldn't make it 4. And once again, Michael van Gerwen is through to a European Tour final. He's on track for number 32 in terms of titles, and it will be his 90th Pro Tour final. That's right, 90 in brackets, 90 Pro Tour finals. James Wade or Ian White will provide the opposition in that final. It was Ian White who provided the opposition a week ago in Saarbrücken for MVG in the final there. James Wade has fairly recent history of taking on Van Gerwen in a Euro Tour final as well at the end of last year at the European Darts Trophy. So it's White or Wade for a right to face MVG.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg is James to throw first. Game on.
Kurt Bevins with the honour of calling this one. The honour of sitting alongside me goes to Paul Nicholson.
A very nice honour too. 4 former horses in the semis. Gurney is now gone and will be in a cab in 4 hours' time going to the airport, I've been told by Jamie Hughes. And word has it that Gurney is exhausted with the schedule
80
from the last few weeks, and I don't blame him. He really has been hammering it around Europe, and hopefully for Daryl he can get some rest before he plays
29.
a pivotal match on Thursday against Gerwin Price, which nobody should miss.
Yeah, I mean, he did look to be struggling a little bit, looked very tired in the face, looked a little bit drawn and pale, I thought, earlier on today, but well, that's maybe the price you pay for success. Let's not forget he's earned over £250,000 since the start of last September, but he's got to look after himself, and I think he will have a bit of a breather now. Try and just rest up as much as he can ahead of the further battles to come, and there will be plenty of those over the rest of the calendar year.
Well, depending on what happens in the coming days, if he has a really good night on Thursday, there's every opportunity he might even pull out next week.
83.
Because if he finds himself gunning for the top 4, then he's got to prime himself for the Premier League finals, which is what James Wade may have to do, and it may be something that MVG will have to do as well. But we know he's going to be at the O2, so he's done it all before, and it's something that Ian White wants to do really badly. And I think Ian White is becoming more entertaining. I think he's as good a player as he's ever been. He's never been considered for the Premier League yet. Not about the Premier League tonight, though.
55.
It's about the Austrian Darts Open.
100.
All of the permutations about qualifying for Blackpool and other things, they're out the window. These guys don't have to worry about that. Just has to worry about 100.
Well, on the floor last year, Ian White was one of the best. In fact, he was the #1 on the Players' Championship Order of Merit. He's currently #2 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. And I think he may well become part of the equation one day, should he maintain those standards and perhaps pick up a major title here and there. James Wade steps in for the first leg, though, with double 20. That was one of the key features of his quarter-final win. He was ruthless, I thought.
Many of them.
Yeah, ruthless, I thought, against Gerwyn Price in particular, though. The way he just stepped in and tidied things up after Gerwyn Price had just allowed James Wade the opportunity.
Well, if you're wondering why James Wade's called a machine, it's because of this. If you didn't know his nickname and you didn't know his nature, and you watched him through a tournament, you could almost say that what he does is quite boring, because he constantly goes for the same shots all the time. And the one time in this tournament where he found himself in the bottom left corner at double 16 and double 8, he had some problems. The other times, he's always been at 12s, at double top, at double 10, and sometimes on double 5, which has to happen. Now, for James, that's not boring. It's machine-like. He found a formula how to do it. He's continued to do it for the last 15 years. However, with someone like Ian White, for instance, he uses the board a bit more dynamically. He uses the 18s, the 16s, the tops. He goes all over the place. With James, it's about the blueprint of how he wins legs of darts.
140.
Well, this is the first time this weekend that Ian White has faced another seeded player. He's had a comparatively, on paper at least, a much easier route. He started off with a 6-5 win over Jamie Hughes. I say easier, I'm just talking in terms of the seeding or lack of seeding of his opponents. Keegan Brown and Steve Beaton were the other two players that he had to overcome, although he only lost 3 legs over the course of those 2 matches. Whereas Wade has had to face Mervyn King, Mensur Suljovic and Gerwyn Price.
I think you're right, because all of the opponents for Wade have been in the Premier League. None of them for Ian White have even played in the Premier League as a contender or a mainstream guy.
Yeah, and I think given the fact that Mervyn King is just outside the top 16 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit, and in fact just outside the top 16 full stop, you know, I think that was perhaps the hardest draw you could possibly have for a seeded player to come through and to face Mervyn King in round 2.
It doesn't get any easier when you're playing Ian White at the minute. He's not the #3 seed for nothing. The only thing missing from Ian White's season so far is a win.
94.
Has been to finals. He's just looking to cross the line and potentially set up a second consecutive final with MVG in the space of 8 days. I think Ian White, to me, looks the more energised. That may have something to do with the fact that James has had a lot more on his plate. I mean, Ian White hasn't had an easy season by any stretch of the imagination, but he hasn't had the Premier League to deal with. Will that come into this very long Sunday?
Well, he's had a lot less time on stage today, and I think that really can count for something on these final days on the European Tour, especially when it is such a warm stage as we've got here in Graz. Like I say, 3 legs he's dropped today against Keegan Brown and Steve Beaton, whereas Wade has been slightly more extended. 7 legs he's dropped against Suljovic and Price.
100.
And that can take its toll over the course of time.
Playing a best of 11 game against Mensur Suljovic is enough to tire you out, especially when the crowd are on his side. The thing about playing Sundays on the Euro Tour is that you have to dig in the deep part of the well and find enough energy. Bullseye. He's been all over these.
87.
And he doesn't think Ian White's going to get the 161. That's bold.
Well, there's a little challenge for you, Ian White. James Wade thinks you probably won't take out the 161. He was happy to lay up. But will that decision come back to haunt him?
I like it when people hit those shots,
97.
because you shouldn't do that. It's mind games. Now he's got to get the 10s. He does get it.
That's the thing, though. It's I'd say it's a gamble worth taking, especially in the early stages. Okay, you know, it's one apiece, or it was one apiece. It's not like he's in any particular trouble. I think later, further down the line, when you're running out of time and legs, maybe not. But in that situation, I think it's worth a gamble, and it gave Wade the opportunity to take out either tops or tens, which he absolutely loves, and I think it was probably the prudent thing to do. But then again, I'm not a former Players' Championship Finals winner or a major winner, so I will bow to your superior knowledge on this, but I'm just offering my psychological perspective.
We've all got our own way of thinking on that one. Obviously, Phil Taylor used to lay up a lot when people were on a finish, and he was bitten more than once. I remember myself and Mark Webster have chipped 170 finishes when he's left 32, when he had a shot at the bull. And from those experiences, I just think you're dicing, and especially in these tight semi-finals, these other tight games where you may not get a massive amount of chances. The last thing you want to do is hand a confidence-boosting shot to your opponent, especially when James is so good on bullseyes. The likelihood is he probably would have hit it anyway.
61.
It is a moot point though, because he got the double 10.
Well, we started with an 18-dart hold for Wade, a 16-dart hold for White, a 14-dart hold. So if we maintain this, we should be moving in the right direction. Ian White will not be taking out a 12-dart hold here, though. He's on 203 after 9 darts.
Now, if this was MVG, you'd be looking at 9 19s. That's good. Pressure applied. It's up to James now. He's going to need the bullseye this time. Oh, he's not. He was greedy. He went to the treble and he put it too high.
64.
As a result, he's not going to get a shot for the leg, and Ian White should himself.
James Wade will be looking at double 10 if he gets the chance. However, Ian White is looking at double 18, and Ian White is now level at 2 apiece. Turning point or not?
Maybe. I was talking to Ian White before the quarterfinal started, and he informed me that he'd been practicing with Keegan Brown a lot today, and they were, for whatever reason, constantly leaving double 18. Now, we spoke briefly about last night when he played Jamie Hughes, and he had 61 for the match when it was 5-all. He wanted to get 2 darts to win that match, so he went for the 25. He got the 25 and he stood back, then he pinged the double 18 first time round. And double 18's been really good to him today as well. So maybe he's going to constantly leave it.
Yeah, and further context to that situation, Hughes was waiting on double 8 as well. Trailed 3-1 against Jamie Hughes, did Ian White, but he came through 6-5. That was the toughest match that he's had this weekend, and it was perhaps no surprise given the scale of their previous meeting on the European Tour.
Weird, he's gone to the 19s on 303. Right thing to do. He can use the 60 here if he wants to.
95.
Sometimes you can get wrapped up in the whole 133 to leave 170. Don't forget from 303 that you can use the 60 to leave 167. That's not bad from Ian White, leaving 90 after 9. Not bad at all. And it'll be really interesting to see where he goes here, because I fancy he's going to go 20-20 bull after that wonderful setup from the 10th seed.
Well, he needs double 5 now. Oh, versatility for Ian White.
We were talking about double 18, but how good has he been on double 5 today? That, by my count, is 5 crucial double 5s he's hit.
Yeah, we certainly touched upon it, didn't we, in the match earlier on today against Keegan Brown in particular. And it bailed him out. I think there, I mean, obviously he had to go for double 5 in the end, but it was a really good rescue package for him earlier as well, because on those other occasions he was forced round the board from double 20 to double 10 to double 5. That was a very different situation, but still, same outcome.
Yeah, some shot to take out when your opponent's just hit a 168. This is littered with quality, this match. And no shenanigans, no controversy between these two. Just straight up darts.
Well, we have sort of maintained the sequence as well. 18, 16, 14, 14, and now 12 dart break for Ian White. Won't be too long before we have a 10 dart leg. And then who knows?
I wouldn't put it past them. When you see 9 darters, it's scary how many times you see them very early in matches in the first 3 legs. When Gary Anderson gets a 9, it's always in the first 3 legs.
60. In Uruguay, 142.
Now, 142, you've got options. Not looking at the 51, looking at the 60. Great second dart. Treble 10 again.
90.
That's enough. Ian White has got this one where he wants it in the middle of the game. He's in the ascendancy.
57. In Uruguay, 52.
Single 20 then. For double 16 to get a 2-leg gap. Just needs to create an angle.
36.
Seen weird, he hits so many 144s in his career. There is a perfect first start. A brilliant second. Loves double 12. And there's another 144.
That
Is
is stylish from James Wade. Devastation as well. 144 back on terms with the break at 3 apiece. Brilliant response from James Wade.
60.
It's just a weirdy type finish. 60-60 and a double that he likes. He likes 160, 140, 144. I remember years ago in a tournament called the William Cross Pro-Am in Australia in 2008. He was playing Russell Stewart of Australia, the great Russell Stewart. And he was in a real tussle with Rusty.
59.
In the last leg, Rusty was on a double and Wadey pinged a 144. And everybody just was aghast.
Aghast.
It was an incredible finish and he won the tournament. He beat Ronnie Baxter in the final. That's unfortunate.
120.
Seen a few of those bounce outs over the last couple of weeks. Maybe players are just too good and banging them into their own darts.
Yeah, Wade himself has suffered with a couple of those today as well.
100.
Throw enough darts, you're going to get a few loose ones and a few unlucky ones.
Well, these two players know each other inside out. They've met on 18 occasions in the past. Wade has won 12 of them.
140.
The majority of those previous meetings have been on the Pro Tour in the Players' Championship events in Barnsley or Milton Keynes or Wigan or Coventry even. But they have met on the European Tour stage. The last time they met in Europe, though, was in 2015. It was a quarter-final of the European Darts Trophy. Ian White winning that one 6-4.
60.
They did meet not so long ago on the Pro Tour as well. That was in a semi-final. Wade winning that one 7-5. A few weeks ago in Barnsley.
162.
And again, look at that from James Wade. 162 to get down to double 10 from there.
168 earlier. That was in vain. This time it might be again. Well, this time he's going to get a shot. But the approaching from James Wade in this match has been outstanding. Can he hit 5s? The answer is yes.
Yeah, he's well versed in the art of double 5 as well, given his propensity to go for double 10 anyway. But Wade has turned things around once again. Trailed 2-3, leads 4-3. The 15 dart break is backed up fairly comfortably, thanks in large to that approach play that he was able to conjure up. And again, it was all about the timing for James Wade.
Made a good point there, Rob, about how players approach. Now,
100.
when Wade was on 82, sorry, he was on 62. Earlier in the match, Ian White went for treble 10. Wade went for treble 14 to leave something he likes. That's part of his blueprint.
100.
And the other thing is, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on big ton-plus checkouts and this sort of thing, and Often you have to do those because you haven't really got yourself into a position. But there, James Wade, the stats will show he finished on double 5, and it doesn't look that spectacular. And what it doesn't point out is the fact that moments before that, he produced a brilliant piece of approach play to get himself into that position.
Absolutely right. You would gladly win by any margin and have a highest finish of 2.
What I often look out for is for players who've shown, especially over the course of, say, a day on the Pro Tour, if they've had a good run to the final, how many times have they got down to a finish set of, say, between 41 and 96, for example? You know, by good, consistent approach play, not having to dig themselves out of a hole by producing big ton plus checkouts. They're all well and good, of course. I'm more of a fan of consistency.
I like 161s.
136.
Can Weary get another one? Had one earlier.
I was hoping that Ian White was going to just make me eat my words there.
Weary, mate. Weary nearly did.
36.
In a game of beat the score, that's a draw. But now, to get to a drawn scoreline, Ian needs double 4. Gets double 2. What a good game this is. This is a really good professional game of darts.
Just bubbling up very nicely. It's all building up to a very nice crescendo as well. Wouldn't be too surprised if this one were to go the distance. 7-5 when they met on the Pro Tour not so long ago.
I have no idea why Weary went bull on that last dart. I really don't. Unless that's some sort of dead cat dart.
134.
I know 2 players in the world who like to hit bull or 25 with their 3rd dart of the leg. Gerwin Price and Mensah Suljovic. Richard North maybe a little bit as well.
100.
I've got no idea why you'd want to leave 399 after 3. You don't want to leave anything ending in 9.
Yeah, he's hit a 20 and a treble 19 and then went for the bullseye.
That one's different on me, but we'll see what happens in the rest of the leg.
108.
It's all good if you're Ian White, averaging big. First 9 is smoking.
I just wonder if that sent out a little message to Ian White that James Wade is just being a little bit experimental, maybe just trying things out and just not quite sure of where he is right now. I'm not really sure what Ian White would have made of that, in all honesty.
James Wade being experimental on a dartboard has probably happened more times than I've seen a jasmine-coloured moon in my life.
71. 160.
Well, he'll prove me wrong if he gets 60 in tops.
This would be a hammer blow for Ian White, but it's not to be. And this would be a break of throw for Ian White if he can find this double 8s.
Yeah.
11 dart break of throw for Ian White. He leads 5-4. And he's perhaps the favourite now.
Really good game. And when you're involved in games like this, you don't have to think. You just do. You're in the groove. You know you are. And that metronomic action of Ian White is just as good as the metronomic action of the machine James Wade.
Well, you would just rather be in the shoes of Ian White right now.
Pretty comfortable shoes.
Pretty comfortable shoes. You lead 5-4, you have the break. Wade has kicked off with 81. It's on the White throw. And if he can post one more of those, that would be very welcome indeed. That will do just as good.
It's happening a lot more these days, isn't it? People going for the 177 and the 171 and the 174. They're trying to throw off the 180 charts. Last week we got over 220 180s. I fear to think how many 170 pluses there were as well. There were quite a lot. Ridiculous quality, but there were a lot of legs because all of the quarterfinals went deep. Ian White is taking a stranglehold on this match. First to 7, of course. Winner will face MVG.
143.
And this, for me, is the hardest finish on the board.
Nathan Aspinall produced it yesterday. Ian White is not going to conjure it up in this one.
I'm not going to explain why I think it's the hardest. I've been through it so many times. Now 2-6-3, you've got to get crafty here. Can't leave a finish now.
100.
He needed to go 19s on that second dart, because he'd have options if he hit the single 19 or the treble. Had no option if he hit the 20. Option for Ian White is double 12. Sixes for 6-4. One away, Ian White, looking to set up that revenge mission match against MVG. And he is arguably playing a little bit better than Michael right now.
60.
Well, it was 8-3 when Ian White played Michael van Gerwen in favour of the Dutchman when they met in the final in Saarbrücken last Sunday. Ian White is one leg away from meeting MVG once again. And it's more, or it could be potentially more big money for Ian White on his Pro Tour ranking as well.
He'll do wonders for his world ranking as well. He's trying to get back in the world's top 10 to knock on the door of the selectors for the World Series. He hasn't been included in that either, which I think irks him a little bit. Some of the younger bucks are getting picked over him. He should be wearing a t-shirt saying, why not me? I'm playing well. I've got a bit of something about me. I do a bit of Steve Beaton dancing. I do a bit of dabbing. Fans like me. I'll bring me shopping bag.
57.
I think he has hit James Wade very hard in this semi-final, and he may have him on the ropes. Wade looks beaten.
Yeah, 60, 60 and 57 for Wade so far in this leg. Just seems to have run out of steam.
35.
Well, Ian, the bright side of that shot is that you've left 270, so a straight ton leaves you 170. That's about all I've got for you, I'm afraid.
60.
But once again, James Wade cannot find the treble with his fourth visit of this leg. And if Ian White can just take charge, it could be another break of throw, and he may well wrap it up here and now.
He's just taking his time and gathering himself, because when you're so close to a final, the old nerves kick in a little bit, and you sometimes find yourself going out of your routine.
Well, when I said James Wade needed trebles or couldn't find trebles, I didn't mean one of those, but that's more like it, and so too is that.
Look what he's left.
And look what he has left. He took out 144 in leg 6 to level things up at 3 apiece. That was for a break of throw. This would be for a hold of throw, but it would be important because he just needs to treat every leg as an individual obstacle to overcome.
Not going to get the 144 this time, but that last dart from Ian White was very authoritative. And I said that very carefully.
It's a tricky one.
100.
Because he gave it some oomph. He forced that dart into the 60, and he has forced his way into this match-winning possibility.
Well, this could be the final reckoning. Double 8 for Ian White. Double 4. And once again, Ian White is through to the final on the European Tour, and once again, 7 days after their meeting in Saarbrücken, he will take on the world #1 Michael van Gerwen. He will be hoping for a different outcome. It was 8-3 when they met 7 days ago in the final of the German Darts Open. Here in Austria, it will be Ian White and Michael van Gerwen once again.
Und heißen herzlich willkommen im Finale Ian Diamond White.